Welcome to Funda Kombi Path, from basics to advanced. CAT June 2025, paper 1, question paper. In order for you to be able to answer these questions, you may need to have the documents that are associated with this question paper. In this video, we are going to start from question 3. We are going to do 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. The instruction says we have to open the 3-rank spreadsheet that contains information about tournaments and the winnings of the players. In other words, for us to be able to answer these questions effectively, we need to find a document 3-rank or a spreadsheet document 3-rank so that we can answer these questions. Now we can start answering question 3.1. It says, rename sheet 1 to medals and move the worksheet to appear as the last worksheet in the workbook. Is 2 marks. So how do we collect these 2 marks? Here is sheet 1. You come to sheet 1, and this is what you do. You right click, or you can click and then right click, then rename, backspace or delete, then to medals, and enter. The instruction goes further to say you have to move the worksheet to appear as the last worksheet in the workbook. In other words, you are going to click and hold, then drag it. You'll see the black arrow that will move along with you until the end. When that black arrow is at the end of the last sheet, then you release it. Then now the medals is the last sheet, or it appears as the last sheet. You have players, tournament, country code, medals. We are done. Now we need to move to 3.2. The instruction says work in the player's worksheet. Format the headings in row 5 to appear as shown in the example below. In other words, row 5 in player's worksheet has to appear as it is shown in the picture here or in the question paper. So this is what we are going to do. We need to go back to our 3-rank worksheet document. We need to go to players. Here is the players worksheet. This is row 5. This is row 5. And now it says, format the headings in this row, which is 5, to appear as shown in the example below. So in other words, we are going to highlight from our column A, row 5, until F5. Until F5. So I think the text is okay, and I think the shading is okay as well, because the question paper is in black and white. I think the shading is also okay. But we may also need to, like for an example, change the borders because it has to appear as shown in the question paper. You can just highlight everything. Then this is what we are going to do. You go to alignment. Once you are here, you are going to choose text wrap. The reason you choose text wrap is so that your rows can be stretched, can become bigger, so that it can appear as what is shown in the question paper. This is it. This is how it should look like. So the next thing that we can do is to center so that everything can be centered. And the other thing that we can do is to change the borders, here. This is what we are going to do. We'll go to alignment, then we go to border, then we can see which kind of the borders we can use. We can choose this one. Let's test this one and put it here like this, and like this. We are done. Now we can move to 3.3, question 3.3. Question 3.3, it says, insert a function in cell D3. Insert a function in cell D3 to determine the fourth highest total prize money won by a player for the current year. We need to come here. Here is D3. So what are we going to do here? Because they need us to create, like for an example, a formula will determine the fourth highest total prize money won by a player for the current year. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to write a formula. We are going to say is equal large open bracket D6 D6. Why D6? Is because it's where everything starts, is where the database starts. In other words, the list of those people, money, and everything. Then we are going to use a colon. Colon stands for 2. In other words, from D6 to. We have to check where it ends. We have to check where our database ends. Then we can say to D59. 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 We close the bracket. Then we say, before we close the bracket, because we want the fourth largest, let's say comma. Sometimes it may require the semicolon based on the Microsoft document or spreadsheet that you are using. Then you press enter. So if it shows this error, it just means you have to change that comma into a semicolon like this. A semicolon and then enter. You can also verify by looking at column D. Check those figures and verify if it's indeed the fourth largest. But this column, this formula will never lie. It's 484, but make sure that your formula is equals large D6 to D59. In other words, at the end of your table. We are done.